Hi, my name's Leo. My pronouns are they, them.
Hi, I'm Kay. My pronouns are also they, them.
Hi, my name's Freya, and my pronouns are also they, them.
Welcome to the Non-Trinary Podcast. Our subject today is Pride, since it's Pride Month. We're first going to talk about our experiences of Pride.
So, as it has been said before, I grew up in, an area fairly close to the major city of my country. So Pride was a pretty big event and pretty, well, I was going to say well structured, but like, is it ever? No. It was interesting. It was really interesting. The first Pride I went to was in about 2017, I believe. And it was nice. Like, I didn't know enough about it to, like, be properly into the politics and realize that, oh, there are lots of cops here, and oh, there are lots of things that made me uncomfortable, but I didn't recognize it at the time because I didn't know enough about the discourse or anything about that. Yeah. I don't know, like, I mean, you two, did you go to major prides or minor prides?
So my first Pride was Stoke-on-Trent Pride, and that was kind of we'll call it a minor Pride. So that was, again, it was kind of the same as yours, Freya. It was very much like the cops were there, the army was there. Yeah, there was loads of local colleges and loads of local businesses, but there was no kind of LGBT startups. There was a local, we had like a health centre called the Piccadilly Centre, and they were that was the place where the local LGBT youth groups would run. So they were there, but that was kind of like almost it for LGBT presence. There was a few kind of like businesses that came from Manchester and Birmingham who wanted to advertise, but other than that, there was nothing really overly queer about it, and there was nothing that was really ours. It seemed very kind of corporate. It pandered a lot to kind of the straight people who would inevitably show up with their kids. It was really much like, I don't know, it was kind of odd because Stoke-on-Trent at the time, we were bidding for the City of Culture Awards, which I don't know if it happens in Wales, but it's quite a big thing that happens in England. And when you win that, it basically brings a lot of it basically brings in a lot of business and a lot of money to the city. And I think Hull won it at one point, so we were kind of venturing for that. So I think the Pride kind of ended up being a symptom of that. It kind of ended up being, it fell under, how can we make Stoke-on-Trent more cultured? How can we make, like,
It was
and
like tick the box, yeah.
Yeah, it was very much like tick the box. And it was kind of like, especially when I was at a point in my life where I think I went to the first one with a lot of my friends, and I ended up getting ditched, which when you don't know the area and when you don't know the kind of the almost the rigmarole of Pride, when you don't know what happens at Pride, you can kind of feel really overwhelmed. And like the second year that I went, a lot of my friends had either gone to uni, they were working, like it was literally me and another person who went together. So it's kind of like, when you contrast that with Pride Cymru, which is what I went to last year for the first time, it's completely different experiences. Like my Stoke-on-Trent prides, I've never felt quite so lonely. And when I went to Pride Cymru, I've never felt more like supported and more like behind, even though you've still got the same kind of like, there's still a lot of corporateness in Pride Cymru. I'm not gonna say that Pride Cymru doesn't have its faults, but there's, because it's so kind of welcoming, like Cardiff in itself is a massively welcoming like town and city. It's kind of, compared to Stoke-on-Trent anyway, it's kind of been a bit more of a culture shock for me. But the experience has been miles apart. And so it's that kind of thing. Like it was really quite shocking. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's still a lot more that Pride Cymru could be doing. And I think this year it definitely will be. Like last year they had, at the start of the parade, they had a group of people who were doing, we are marching, we're not we're like protesting, we're not just marching. And I think this year a lot more people are definitely getting that message, and I think that's definitely going to be what is on everyone's minds this year as well. But yeah, I think in comparison to like Stoke Pride, it's completely different because you have like you're basically in two different like cities. Like Stoke-on-Trent is kind of really quite small. It's not really got much of a queer community. I don't really want to say that because there is, but it's not got a visible queer community in the same way that Cardiff has a visible queer community. And yeah, it kind of does make all the difference. But yeah, that's kind of my experiences.
My first Pride was Pride Cymru,
Mm-hmm.
2015. The year that I went, Pride Cymru wasn't as big as it has been for the last 2 years. It wasn't in like around where the courts are and where the
Yeah.
is. It was in Butte Park.
Mm-hmm.
And that was where it has always been historically like been. And then for some reason Cardiff Council were like, yeah, next year we can't have Pride in Butte Park anymore. We're gonna have it in like the next to the Cardiff Museum.
Yeah.
There was a bit of an uproar about that, but the year that I went in 2015, it was really small, and it did feel like it didn't feel corporate to me the first I went because it was a smaller version. Like
yeah, definitely.
It was intimate. I liked it. There was lots of queer stalls, like lots of groups and like community groups and youth groups, and there was like one ride and like a little stage. But then compared to the last couple of years where they partnered up with the Big Weekend and they've been holding it Cardiff Museum, it's huge now, and I do love it. I just don't love the corporation aspect of it. Like I love watching the parade, and like last year it was my partner's first Pride ever last year, so it was extra special last year because she's never been to Pride before. So it was the first time that she'd been properly visible. So she was wearing her like rainbow flag, and it was really cute to watch her like taking everything.
Yeah.
Like she's even told me like us being in a relationship has definitely made her more confident and like made her more part of the community, I guess. I mean, I've only in the recent years started being more visible, gay, not trans as of yet. I'll work my way up to that.
Yeah.
But I think my favourite thing about Pride, like, I love Pride Cymru, and I love that Cardiff is so welcoming and so open to everything, and I love how big Pride Cymru is getting. But I think my favourite thing is just, like, I think my favourite memory for last year was just being sat near the stage and being surrounded by my friends and having my trans flag on and just sitting and just, like, looking for a second, like, not being on my phone, not talking to people, just reminiscing in the moment, and just how happy and loving and just how amazing it was to just sit there and just be like, wow, like, this is community, this is what it feels like to be part of something bigger than us.
Yeah.
So yeah, last year we paid to get in. It was quite expensive actually. We left it till last minute to buy tickets, so it was like that for Pride Cymru. The later you purchase tickets, the more expensive they get.
Yeah.
And it was great. The only thing I didn't like was that the rides were really overpriced.
Yeah.
there was lots of straight people there who weren't
So
there.
many, Jesus
they,
Christ.
They weren't there for Pride Cymru itself.
They weren't.
They were there for the rides and that's it really. So, but other than that, it was good. I think my favourite Pride though was this year when I went to Trans Pride Cardiff.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Because like I haven't ever been to like a trans focused event before, and I was very hesitant to go at first because I'm not out to any of my family, and most of my family live in Cardiff. So there was a high chance that I could have been, marching through Cardiff and they could have seen me and I could have just outed myself. I mean, what a way to out myself, it would be great. But like it was really good, but I was really nervous, especially when we were marching through Cardiff and like we were like shouting things. Like at first I was like hanging back because I was like, I don't want to shout because I don't want people to come up to me and talk to me, or like I don't want like backlash or like but the more that we marched and the more like I felt part of the group, the more confidence I got. So I really do enjoy Pride, and we will be going to Pride Cymru this year, but we won't be just going like buying tickets and enjoying it. We're actually, me and Ruth, my partner, we are going to have a stall in the Pride itself. We're going to be there for the staff LGBT network representing Swansea University.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I'll be there with the USW as well.
Yeah, so we'll be marching in the parade and we'll be at the stall somewhere. So if anyone's listening who's going to Pride Cymru, please come and say hello to us because that would be great. So yeah, I think that's it for my experiences.
Into account what both of you said about your prides, you have to pay to get in?
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
That doesn't fucking happen. Well, no, it clearly does, but oh, Jesus.
It should be free, but...
Oh,
yeah. It's what happened when straight people are in charge of Pride.
I mean, I don't want to mention Manchester Pride, but
I know, Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Back home, about like the stalls and the corporations, in Belfast Pride, there were corporations just openly marching. Like, they went before everyone. No, hang on, no, wait. There was like a pre-march, if I remember correctly. Like, with the corporations going through and going, oh, wow, we accept people. It's so good. Oh my God, but Jesus Christ. And then the actual parade started. When I first went, the trans block was at the very back.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah, like the absolute... Ooh, we were at the back.
Did they force you to put back, or was it just because you had that space?
You know, I'm actually not sure. I think it was just we were placed there and we had to deal with it. And then last year we got placed in near the front, so that's like better.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are actually quite a lot of LGBT stalls. The one main issue that I remember pointing out, or having it pointed out to me, is there are two groups, Gender Jam and SAIL. SAIL is the parent network, meaning that like it's for the parents, not like it's so it's support for parents of non-binary, trans kids, and they had a stall that was twice as big right next to the actual network. Oh my
God, are you kidding me?
Yeah, twice as fucking big. God, it was
holy shit.
Interesting. But like going from that huge pride to York Pride was really interesting. Now, straight up, I didn't go to the march for York Pride because I don't know, I was having a bad day and like I couldn't really do that to myself. However, God, my throat's having a little bit of a day. Right, fun times. There was an incident.
I saw on Twitter.
God, yeah, it was a bit awful. To just like a bit of a recap, a trans man was wearing a banner across his chest.
Yeah.
And it said like it's a boy, and like, yeah, that's a really nice idea. Except a cop came up to him and started saying you have to cover up, you have to put a shirt on or something, which is just a bit fucking ridiculous, to be honest.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. given that, and this is like a very close friend of mine was wearing a lace top, which you could clearly see her bra through, and she wasn't approached at all. But
oh my god,
like the cop singled him fucking out, and it was ridiculous.
Oh god. Oh, and I've just searched York Pride into Twitter, and apparently there were some TERFs there as well.
Oh Jesus!
Fucking hell.
Only 2, but.
Oh, okay. It was.
Was it the same 2 that have been circulating?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember what Pride I saw. I think I liked it earlier, but the same 2 TERFs from
Swansea Pride.
Yeah. Protested. They were at a different Pride. I think it was today or a couple days ago, and they were giving out like leaflets to trans kids.
Oh god.
Or something like that. So haven't really got much to do with their time, do they?
No. Clearly not.
Hell.
There is, the Pride after events. Do you guys have like Pride awards and stuff like that?
I think we have. There's something called the Pink List. But I don't know if that is. I think it's a separate thing to Pride, but I think it happens over Pride Month. So it'll be happening over the month of June. But I think that it's kind of that's like the people who've done the most who are from or are based in Wales, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think Pride Cymru are kind of like an associate of it. Most because they'll end up winning an award or something to do with it. But yeah, I don't think we've had a Pride Awards.
No, I don't think so. But on the topic, I've just found a tweet that I liked. It said, shocked and appalled to hear of trans kids being intimidated, photographed, and handed transphobic leaflets by Get the L Out transphobes attending Cambridge Pride.
Oh, God.
So, yeah. I think that's a major issue for, I think, I haven't, in, previous years heard about, TERFs being at Pride. The only big thing that recently I saw, because I think it's only a recent thing, because the only thing I've heard of from last year was that they were at London Pride.
Yeah.
I've never heard of anything previous other than that they've been at. Obviously you have the religious protesters all the time. That's a given. But I think that the TERF showing at Pride is a recent thing, which is
yeah, I think we'll have to keep an eye out at Pride Cymru.
Oh yes, we will. I will. Speaking about that, quickly. Last year when me and Ruth went to Pride for the first time, we watched the parade on the sidelines, and there was a guy with a sign next to us with a Bible quote on it, and just the amount of people that would just walk past and just ignore him. He was shouting stuff, and we just couldn't care less.
He got there's a video on YouTube. He got absolutely slammed by a queer minister.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Love it. Yeah. So yeah, he was standing behind us. It was really annoying because he kept shouting behind me, and I was I completely ignored him. I was just no one cares.
Yeah.
Bye. We are on to, dare I say it, straight pride. Opinions.
Well, the amount of homophobic, transphobic, and etc. incidents that have happened in the past few days, I think sums up everyone's feelings.
The fact that it's even a thing.
Literally.
Isn't Boston having a straight pride?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's where this kind of came from. I don't know if it's I think it's an independent
group.
Joke.
Yeah, we're gonna get our own straight pride, and it was a running joke for a couple of years, and now that it's actually happening.
Yeah, that's how I perceived it when I first heard those kind of jokes. It was a bit oh, well, you don't have to do that, but go ahead.
Did you see the flag that they've made for it?
Yeah, it. Oh no, yeah, I did. Oh,
it's so stupid.
God, it's we're standing up for what's right. No, you're not.
It's a black and white striped flag with with like the male and female symbol on it.
God.
And it doesn't look interesting at all. It's literally I don't want to sound mean, but I don't care. It's I can't remember saying this. It's what you would expect of straights.
Yeah. It is limited creativity.
Exactly. It's just the fact that I think what angers me the most is that, I mean, unfortunately, we saw that lesbian couple on the bus in London. That news article come out a couple of days ago about that couple that got beat up by 15 to 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh yeah, we shouldn't teach LGBT like issues in schools. That is exactly the reason why you need to teach LGBT issues in schools.
Yeah.
Okay? And people, like the straights are like, yeah, we need pride, we need to be represented too. You don't get beat up. You don't have, you don't have to be scared of walking home at night. You don't have to be scared to hold your partner's hand in public.
Yeah, it's like straight pride is every day. Like
straight pride, like it's not. There was a tweet on surprisingly enough Twitter that was like, "What is a straight pride parade? It's just traffic."
Yeah, that was my favorite one. Literally, it's just that. And there was another. So Rotterdam is touring at the minute with two trans actors, and I think they were attacked in the street, which meant that they cancelled both of their performances yesterday, and possibly for the rest of the week. But yeah, it's horrid because you've got this performance that is touring with two trans actors. One of them is in a cisgender role, which is quite groundbreaking. And it's just the fact that they're touring and they're trying to teach acceptance, they're trying to teach this, and this happens to them. And oh my God, it's just, you don't bear thinking about it.
You don't expect, like the lesbian couple, for example, you don't expect that.
You don't.
Like, you'd think London was like even though it's a big scary place, you wouldn't expect that, because like London's quite like, it's quite an open place, like especially London Pride is huge. But then you don't expect something like that to happen. And lesbians are very underrated in the community, I have to say. And the male gaze and
yeah, it's the very specific kind of abuse that lesbians face. It's that kind of, it's tinged with misogyny and with all of that stuff as well, and all the male gaze and the over-sexualization, and that's where that comes from. But it's just doesn't bear thinking about.
We'll move on to Stonewall. And in case people don't know what Stonewall is, I mean, if you live under a brick and you haven't educated yourself about LGBT history, then I'm severely disappointed that you don't know what Stonewall is, because Stonewall is why we have Pride now. But Stonewall happened in 1969. I have a book right here that I'm reading about it. I'm like educating myself more on the subject. Like I know stuff, but I want to know more, if that makes sense. So yeah, in 1969, the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar in New York City's Greenwich Village, changed the landscape of the homosexual in society literally overnight. So basically, the Stonewall Inn is a gay bar in New York, in the Greenwich Village. And in 1969, some police raided the Stonewall Inn to arrest the gay and lesbian and transgender community. And the gay community, the LGBT community, decided to fight back. And that's what created gay liberation and gay rights and pride. I believe Marsha P. Johnson, the transgender black woman, threw the first brick, if I'm correct. I've heard like multiple different accounts of what happened, but from what I've read, she was the first person to like retaliate. And Sylvia Rivera, her friend, another transgender woman, was retaliated when she saw that Marsha was fighting back as well, and then everyone started fighting, and yeah. So that is why we have Pride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think not a lot of people know that. Like, they just think Pride is just... Like I like to say, I don't think Pride is a parade, it's a protest.
Yeah.
Like, when people say, yeah, I'm going to go march in the parade. It's not a parade, it's a protest. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Personally, I wouldn't say that I know quite enough, but there are some things that, like, are... When I first found out about them, I couldn't believe I didn't know them, and then it just became like a I don't know, like a... God, I can't remember the word for it, but, there are just certain facts, like the fact that Marsha P. Johnson was not just a person of color, she was also a sex worker.
Yeah.
And it's just a fact that I only ever see spoken about on Twitter, unofficially, and I've never seen it in a book. I've never seen that fact written down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just bullshit. There was a Pride movie that came out a few years ago. Not Pride the movie, but just a movie about...
Yeah, I know which one.
Yeah, the one that had like a cis white guy.
They basically tried to whitewash Stonewall. Because they were like, we don't want to credit Stonewall to a black trans sex worker. We want to create a male cisgender hero.
Also, another interesting thing about Stonewall, I forgot to mention this. Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera also had a organization called STAR.
Yeah.
Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, and it was an organization founded in 1970. And it was basically Marsha and Sylvia would help homeless LGBT youth whenever they could. Like, if they had the money to have a hotel room or like rent out an apartment, they would have like the youth stay with them. And it happened something like at one point, I think they had like over 50 people staying with them.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want them out on the street, and they were like helping them out as much as they could. So just the fact that, like, obviously they're not the only people that started the Stonewall thing, but I'm pretty sure, because I watched The Life and Death of Marsha P. Johnson, that documentary, like you said, Freya, with your Pride, they made, so purposely, the first Pride that happened a year after the Stonewall riots, they made the trans community walk at the back.
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh yeah, the trans community is like, it's gonna make the gay and lesbian community look bad. And then they tried to make the trans community walk at the back of the first Pride. And then you have that iconic speech by Sylvia Rivera. I would definitely look it up on YouTube. Where she basically says that the trans community is just as important as the gay and lesbian community, and like they should be represented, and they should be made to walk at the back of the Pride. Because, I mean, the first person to start the fights for Stonewall was a transgender woman, and you know, it's very important. And I can't imagine how hard it was back then in New York with all the police raiding and protect. I mean, I started reading this book 2 days ago, and I found something out that I didn't know. But the police were dressing up in normal clothes and going to gay bars pretending to be gay, and then another gay
honey trapping. Yeah,
they would just arrest them on sight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the police, the NYPD actually apologized this month.
Why has it taken them this long to apologise?
I know. Well, I think it was kind of, I don't know if it was timely, because, but yeah, it was the NYPD, I think he was the commissioner, but he was like the top dog, and he was sort of saying like, we're sorry that it's taken so long for us to apologize. It shouldn't have happened. Like saying that New York doesn't stand for that and all that kind of stuff. So glad that it's happened, but Jesus Christ, it's taken a while.
It's been 50 years.
Yeah.
50 years for them to apologize.
God.
Literally.
I can't believe it's been 50 years though. That's absolutely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't think about how important it actually is, but like it is so important, and people should be speaking more about it. Like if it wasn't for them, like I don't think we'd have as much of a voice as we do now.
No, definitely. I mean, you've got the UK-based organisation called Stonewall, which was founded 30 years ago this year. So it's kind of, both of them have anniversaries, and it's kind of like the British kind of scene, the British LGBT rights movement wouldn't be in the place that it was back then without Stonewall in America. It would be completely different. We wouldn't be where we are today without the actions of those people at the protest.
Yeah. And it really just puts in perspective, like, yes, we have come a long way since then, but just how much more we have to go.
Yeah.
To fight for what we believe in and to be who we are. And like obviously things have improved a lot since then, but it's crazy to think that not much has.
Yeah.
These things still happen. And just how much further acceptance and love has to go.
Yeah.
Especially with the fact that people are bringing up straight pride, and like you think to yourself, how dare you try and make straight pride a thing when that literally happened to those people. They had to fight back because they were being killed, they were being arrested for no reason other than just being themselves. Poor Marsha P. Johnson, bless her heart, murdered and just thrown in a river. Like it breaks my heart, it really does. And I'm actually getting emotional now. And seeing those two lesbian women having to be beat up, like, it really hurts to know that there's some people out there who hate us so much that they would just go towards ends just to hurt someone that they've never met or that hasn't done anything to them.
But yeah, I think we are in a point now where there is hopefully going to be a turning point in this, because we've had sex and relationship education be passed so that all of this education can be brought to people at a younger age. And so hopefully this will start to create the turning point that will need to happen. Because you're not going to get tolerance. I hate the word tolerance. It's a horrendous word, but you're not going to get acceptance without education.
Exactly.
And it's like, if people fear the unknown, they fear things that they don't understand. And because a lot of the stuff that we talk about, because a lot of the community, you don't really see it represented in mainstream media, you don't see it represented in classrooms, you don't see it represented in children's literature. Because that happens, you then don't have acceptance, and that is where all of the issues start from. So I think we are at a point where there hopefully is going to start to be a turning point, in that people will hopefully start to shift their attitudes.
I just like it. It's the fact that it still fucking happens that is just like, it's not like, it's better obviously, but if you're walking alone at night and maybe you're holding your partner's hand, or you just look openly queer or LGBT, and you still feel so threatened if you walk past, like, say, a big group of cis-het men. Like, it has happened that I've been walking with my ex-partner, and I've just walked past a big group of men, and all of their eyes had turned to us, and we just kept walking, and thankfully nothing happened. And no one said anything, but it went dead silent, and it was among the most scary thing that has ever happened, because it took like one dude losing his mind, and we would have been in some right shit, to be honest.
Yeah, same with me and Ruth. Like, sometimes, like, I don't want to sound horrible, but like sometimes we're walking across the street holding hands, and you see someone look at you the wrong way, and we just instantly just let go and like continue on walking. And it's the fact that we have to do that because we're scared of what they're gonna do. Like, for example, me and my partner were walking down the street the other day, and an old kind of middle-aged man passed us, and he like stared at me for ages, like just me. And then as we walked past, I turned around and he was still looking at us, and then he was like shaking his head, and I was just like, like, why? Like, we're not doing anything to you. Like, literally just being ourselves. We love each other. We're gonna hold hands. I don't care what you do. And of course, I don't want to have to let go of her hand sometimes, but there's always that fear that something is gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be like that. I want to be able to walk down any place holding a hand, because I feel safest when I'm holding my partner's hand and when I'm with her, being myself. And the fact that there's people out there who, if I kept holding a hand, they would do something to us. And it's just crazy and shocking to think this still happens. But unfortunately, like I said, those 15 to 18-year-olds who violently beat up that couple, they obviously weren't educated and were brought to think that that is okay, and that is why being taught about LGBT people in schools is important. That is why I think Stonewall should be part of the curriculum.
Yeah.
They should know.
There was something that I didn't get around to mentioning earlier. I mentioned Pride Awards. Belfast had a Pride Award, a ceremony, and I went along with Gender Jam as like a partner of a person who's going. And it was not a shit show, not an utter shit show. There was one big thing that happened that I'd just like to have it be known. There was a trans man who was supposed to present an award for Cara Friend, which was like the main LGBT organization, not trans-specific, just LGBT. And they got up on stage to announce, not the trans man, but the announcer was like, and up to pronounce this award, like. And they didn't announce him by his name. They said his dead name.
Are you fucking kidding me?
In City Hall, which was packed with people, everyone in the community, side note, there was a table for the police department, which I fucking hated, but in that room full of police and like other event organizers, people that he's gonna have to interact with for a while, and they fucking dead named him in front of everybody.
God.
And thankfully I was out of the room, so I didn't hear it, and I didn't that just, so many things had to go wrong, and I'm using wrong very liberally, because clearly someone had a fucking vendetta or something, because that information is not public. You cannot just mistakenly type that in. You have to find that, put it in there, and make sure it's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, that is.
God.
I'm going through something similar at the moment. There's a student at my work who's been dead naming and misgendering me on purpose, because just of personal reasons. For some reason, I don't know. I've done nothing wrong, but the fact that people use misgendering and dead naming as some form of just pettiness, I guess.
Yeah.
And
has Swansea got a policy against that?
Yes, they do. So because I'm a staff member, and a student is harassing me, basically, it's being taken very seriously.
Wicked.
And things are happening, but I'm not going to talk about it too much because it's a personal thing. But I don't think people realise how much misgendering someone and dead naming someone hurts. Especially misgendering. It's a big issue that not a lot of people realise hurts. But anyway, yes.
So we've been the Non-Trinary Podcast. I've been Kay, my pronouns are they, them.
I've been Freya, my pronouns are they, them.
My name's Leo. My pronouns are they, he.
And thank you for listening.
Oh, and just to add, there's a new show on Netflix called Tales of the City. You should watch it. It's so good. It's so queer.
That does look really good.
It's amazing.
Also watch Gentleman Jack.
Yes.
Oh my
Do
god.
not say what I think you're going to say.
What?
No, Freya.
Oh.
I will end it like last time.
I won't. I promise. I finished it. I rewatched it, so it's out of my system now.